She claimed it was just bloating. The next day she gave birth. And years later she'd help murder her husband, bury him in a shallow grave, and try to blame it all on love. This is the twisted story of Morgan Mengel and how lust, lies, and greed destroyed a devoted father's life. Morgan Marie Wixon, later known as Morgan Mengel, was born on September 25, 1975, in Pennsylvania. Not much is known about her early life, but those close to her say she grew up rebellious, clashing with her family as she got older. Still, her parents held on to hope that they'd eventually settle down and find her way. In 1997, Morgan met Kevin Mengel Jr., a year younger than her. The connection? Instant. He saw in her someone to build a future with. Kevin had grown up in a loving, close-knit home in Springfield, Pennsylvania. He was the eldest of 3 siblings, raised by hard-working parents, even after they amicably divorced and went on to new marriages. Kevin valued family more than anything. That's what made what happened to him so chilling. Not long into dating, Morgan attended a family dinner looking visibly pregnant, but denied it, said she was just bloated. The very next day, she gave birth to a baby girl, Mercedes. Morgan insisted she didn't know she was pregnant, but her lack of joy or emotion in the hospital raised eyebrows. Kevin, however, was overjoyed. They married shortly after and had 2 more sons, Kevin Jr. and Billy. Kevin even named his landscaping business after his children's initials. But behind the family photo ops and smiles, something darker was simmering. Morgan had secrets, affairs, financial lies, even a history of petty theft. And Kevin knew about some of it, but he refused to let go. He was determined to hold the family together for the sake of their kids. By 2010, Kevin had hired a 21-year-old named Stephen Chappelle, just a kid, onto his landscaping crew. Kevin trusted him, took him under his wing. But Stephen wasn't just helping with the yard work. He was also sleeping with Morgan. The affair started behind Kevin's back, with Morgan seducing Steve, flirting, complimenting, reeling him in. Eventually, she introduced him to the kids as Uncle Steve. And then they began plotting. June 20th, 2010, Father's Day. Kevin never showed up to the family picnic. He had planned to reunite with his father that day, a reunion he'd been talking about for weeks. His mother, Kathleen, received a strange message from Morgan saying they wouldn't be coming due to unforeseen circumstances. But something felt off, very off. Text messages came in from Kevin's phone, but they didn't sound like him. Short, distant, abbreviated. Unlike Kevin, who always called, always checked in, his family knew in their gut he wasn't the one sending those messages. When police visited Morgan's apartment, she seemed calm. But his family wasn't buying it. They kept pushing for answers, and soon detectives reopened the case. It wasn't long before the truth came spilling out. Morgan wasn't just having an affair with Steve. She was planning a murder with him. Detectives learned Kevin had gone missing just after an argument with Morgan. Then came the bombshell. Morgan had told Steve they could build a life together once Kevin was gone. Together, they devised a plan straight out of a crime thriller. Poison Kevin with a homemade nicotine solution, so toxic just a few drops could be lethal. Steve mixed the poison in his mother's kitchen. Morgan placed it in Kevin's iced tea. But the poison didn't work, so they moved to Plan B. June 16, 2010. Kevin was trimming hedges at a job site, sweating under the summer sun. That's when Steve struck from behind, slamming a shovel into the back of Kevin's head. The blow was so fierce it snapped the handle. Steve grabbed another and kept going until Kevin stopped moving. Then he texted Morgan. "It's done." She came to the scene, stepped over her husband's body, and kissed Steve. Cold, calculated, remorseless. They wrapped Kevin in a tarp, bound him with rope, and stashed his body in an unused garage. Steve later buried Kevin behind his old high school in a shallow grave. Meanwhile, Morgan kept texting from Kevin's phone, keeping up the illusion he was just taking space. But she forgot one thing. GPS doesn't lie. Both phones were pinging from the same location. Detectives confronted Morgan. That's when she cracked. She claimed Steve killed Kevin out of love for her. Then Steve fled across state lines, only to be arrested in Colorado. When he was brought back to Pennsylvania, the full story finally emerged. Steve confessed everything: the affair, the poison, the ambush with the shovel, and how Morgan had manipulated him every step of the way, even from jail, where she faked a pregnancy to keep him loyal, sending phony birth certificates for twins that didn't exist. In February 2012, Morgan's first trial was declared a mistrial after a judge ruled comments about her character prejudiced the jury. But the second trial? No mistakes. Morgan Mengel pled guilty to first- and third-degree murder, conspiracy, and weapon possession. She was sentenced to life without parole, plus 20 years. Steve Chappelle, just 24, was sentenced to 40 to 80 years. In court, he expressed deep regret, saying he would never forgive himself. Kevin's children were taken in by his mother, Kathleen, and her husband. The family asked that donations go to a trust for the kids instead of flowers. The only thing worse than Kevin's murder was the betrayal that led to it. Morgan didn't just steal a father from his children. She stole their safety, their trust, their future. All for a man she'd known for less than a year. Thanks for watching Tale of True Crimes. If stories like this keep you up at night, if you want more jaw-dropping cases, twisted motives, and shocking betrayals, subscribe now and hit the bell. There are more stories coming, and not all of them have happy endings.